Hey guys, Mike for SimRacing604, and this is my Simagic Alpha Evo Wheelbase. This is the evolution of Simagic's well-loved Alpha wheelbase and brings some exciting new features. It comes in at a very competitive price, and at least on paper, it promises to be a very, very exciting product. So I can't wait to get this open. Let's go ahead and get into my review. Alright, so as mentioned, this is my Simagic Alpha Evo wheelbase, and I will let you know Simagic sent me this for review for free, and I'll just let you know that no money changed hands, I don't offer affiliate links, and of course the words and opinions are my own in this review. So this is Alpha Evo, as you can guess by the title. It is an evolution of the Alpha series. I did review the Alpha on my channel many years ago. It wasn't even in this room, so it's going way, way back, but I did really enjoy my time with the Alpha. I didn't get to keep it. I had to send it back, so I don't have a ton of time invested in the Alpha, but so many of you have reached out to me and asked, how does Moza stack up? How does Thrustmaster stack up? How does Logitech stack up versus Simagic? It seems to be growing in popularity, and I think people really respect the product. So Simagic was kind enough to send me a whole bunch of products, and I will get into a number of reviews in the coming days and weeks. But for now, I wanted to tackle this Alpha Evo wheelbase. It's a very exciting product, gained a lot of hype. Well, maybe hype is the wrong word, but it's gained a lot of attention in the sim racing community. Again, people really love the Alpha, and so we were excited to see where they would go with it. So some of the new features include an expanded port base at the back of the unit to plug into your different Simagic peripherals, which is very cool. So kind of a hub at the rear. That's something that I've used in other products, and I really, really like it. If we can save USB ports on our computer, why not? Also usually makes updates and firmware improvements an easier process to upgrade and update. We also have an LED at the front of the unit, which I don't know. We'll see how I get on with that. That's probably the feature I'm least excited about. But most importantly, they have promised pretty much zero cogging and lower inertia. And what that translates to, ideally, is a very fast response and very detailed force feedback while remaining strong. So there's three different varieties of this unit. There's three different Newton meter levels. I'll be honest, I don't know what this is. I can't tell from the box which unit they sent me. So I'm learning as we do this. So I haven't even plugged this in yet. I have no idea which one this is, but we will see shortly. So what I'm going to do is get this unboxed. We'll give kind of first impressions of the looks of the unit, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the features, and then we'll go ahead and get this mounted and jump into the software, and then we will drive. And then, of course, I will come back and give my opinion on it. So let's go ahead and get this Alpha Evo unboxed. All right, so my desk is free of that big old box, and let's talk about what was in the box. First off, stickers. Whole lot of stickers. It's nice of them. Official sim racing equipment of Formula Drift, which is cool. So if you're a drifter, some pretty cool stickers for you. We also have English and Chinese instructions here to help you get started. The unit, which I will of course come back to. We've got a small bag here of bolts and one Allen key. Yeah, it looks like there's a couple different lengths of bolts in there, so good to go for getting this mounted to your rig. Power supply, small, quite unremarkable, frankly. It is branded Simagic, so that's good. It looks like 120 to 240 volt input, so should be international. 48 volt output, 5.25 amp rated. And then, of course, we have the power cord, me being in North America. This is the style I got, and it does have an inline on-off switch. I'm going to leave, well, no, I'll turn it off, but I'll probably forget and then wonder why they sent me a dead unit. So hopefully I get by that. And then, of course, we have the unit. Good news is I found out which one I have. So it says at the rear, tiny text. I won't bother spinning it around just yet, but this is the 12 Newton meter variety. 12 I am perfectly happy with. I do find that that's about the sweet spot, I think. I love the Moza R12. I thought it was a fantastic wheelbase and just about the right amount of torque for most people in most situations. So happy to have this 12, certainly. As we kind of spin around, you'll notice if you know the Simagic Alpha, it had USB and what else on the side? I can't remember. But anyway, the connection ports were on the side. This one has no such side ports, but it does have these 2 holes, and it's the same on the other side, and then 4 on the bottom there for mounting. And then spinning around, we have USB, standard USB and USB-C. We then have 8 RJ45 ports. We have a number of USB ports on the other side as well, a power port, and then an on-off switch, which is non-latching, interestingly. And then on the front, somewhere in here, you won't be able to see it, of course, but there is an LED light, so that's going to kind of shine out onto the shaft of this unit. And then the shaft itself, which I have heard, rotates very smoothly and freely. And I would say that is true. It is extremely smooth. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. So small, compact. It's heavy, but not unreasonably so. Feels very well built. It's all metal construction, of course. Little warning label on top. Little alpha sign on the back there. Nice style design, but it is quite small. Smaller than I expected. It's dense and somewhat heavy, but yeah, very small. It's you can see kind of compared to my hand, the size of that unit. So quite small. Looks to have everything we need. So yeah, the kind of bigger selling features are, you know, the no cogging design and lower latency. I think they lowered the latency by 50%, which should allow it to spin a little bit faster, give you a bit smoother force feedback. And then the hub on the back, or the port center there, where you can plug in all your devices. That's pretty cool. And then we talked about the light on the front as well. So next step, I'm going to get this plugged in. We'll probably have to do a firmware update through the this Simagic software, and then I get to drive it, and I'm super stoked about that. So let's go ahead and get this mounted and get it connected. All right, so I got the Alpha Evo mounted here on my rig. As mentioned, I went with the bottom mounts, and everything looks good. First thing you notice, it spins extremely freely. That is a very impressive amount of smoothness in this wheelbase. So turn it on. And we should see some lights, camera, and action. There we go. And then we can open up our software here. SimPro Manager. I'm using, it's kind of a beta version. I don't think this will be the same version you have when you get your wheel. But as you can see, as I turn it, it is registering nicely in the software. My only complaint thus far is that it's limited in window size. I can't get this to go any bigger. So it's kind of interesting, and there's no maximize option. But anyway, small complaint. So as you can see here, we can set the degrees of rotation. In this case, I have an AMS2 preset, but I'm going to go ahead and open up a different preset. Whoops. Sorry. These are mine. You can use Simagic's. They have a preset for most of the common sims, I would say. My own, I've created 2 here. I've tried it in most of my sims. But yeah, so I'm going to choose the Le Mans Ultimate. Sorry, still getting used to this. Is that it? Yeah, okay. Right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So there's my Le Mans Ultimate preset, and as you can see, 900 degrees of rotation, and you can set the limit strength, and there's a whole bunch of different settings. You can see here, slew rate control, mechanical inertia, mechanical friction, etc., etc. And if you don't know what those are, just mouse over this question mark, and it is going to tell you what those settings do. We also have control over the ring light, which is, of course, the one that's going around the shaft on the wheelbase, and we have control over brightness, and also the telemetry from the game is going to act differently depending on which settings we have applied here. And you can add, there's a bunch of different ones. I was going to say mostly flags, but there's a bunch of other stuff as well. Pit lane, do I have a pit lane effect here? It doesn't look like I do, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. So I will add that when I am in the pit lane, and then I can go and turn it on, and I can say, what is it? Well, I'm going to make it a fast blink. Whoops. So when I'm in the pit, it's going to, and why don't we make it all green? How about that? And we can throw in a different shade of green here. All right, so that's going to be not a perfect circle of green, and then it's going to be blinking when I'm in the pit lane in Le Mans Ultimate, in theory. So I'm going to save that profile, and there we go. So right now I have it set at 60%. That is 7.2 Newton meters of strength. This is the 12 Newton meter version of the wheelbase. So yeah, you can select a percentage. I think by default it comes at 80. I like my force feedback a little bit softer, so I've had time to play around with it a little bit, and I settled at 60%, which works out to about 7.2 Newton meters of torque. So that is the software. Oh, and games compatibility. There's a lot, and it's going to walk you through, like, let's say, what's a good one? Maybe race room. Yeah, okay, so there's a game config. You can click game config, and it's going to kind of walk you through. In this case, it didn't, but anyway. Oh, sorry, it's trying to open up another program on a different window. What have I done? Maybe it's configured, maybe it's not. But anyway, the point is you can, for most games, just click a button. Come on, Mike. Just click a button, and it should help walk you through getting your Evo wheelbase set up with that game. So pretty cool software. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. So yeah. Cool software. Wish you could make it larger, but other than that, seems to have all the bells and whistles that I need. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Le Mans Ultimate. We're going to do some testing with our Alpha Evo. All right, so here we are in Le Mans Ultimate, and our pit limiter or in pit lane light did not work. I'll have to check the settings on that. There are some limitations to the compatibility, so it could be an issue with that. We'll have to check that out, but we should otherwise have good functionality. And what you're seeing here, the reason it's flashing is it's letting me know that traction control has kicked in. So as the tires get warmer, that effect will be reduced. But for right now, it's telling me that that traction control is doing a lot of work. And I've got it set, the static light. You can set the static light if you want it to just remain by default like red all the time or whatever. You can do that. I have everything set to black by default. So it looks like it's off. It looks like a normal wheelbase absent LED. But yeah, once there's an event on track, we will see that light up. So let me just show you that real quick. So I go off the road here. This should throw a yellow flag, and as you can see there, the yellow shows on my wheel. And it won't do it yet because we're still on our practice laps. But once we turn a few laps here, we should start seeing blue flags as well throwing on our wheelbase, which is cool. You'll get it on screen as well, so it's not something you absolutely need, but just kind of a cool effect. And that traction control, I'm certain that people who are better at setups would have a lot of use for that light. If you have an indicator telling you when you're losing grip and can kind of tune around that, that's a pretty cool thing. And boy, do I love this sim. I've always loved this sim, and every time I fire it up, I get a little more excited. Or I continue to be excited, better phrased. Alright, so we should see a bit more warmth in the tires now, so that traction control light shouldn't be on as often or for as long. You can see making our way around this long left-hander here, and that light did disengage, which is great. So the track is throwing a blue flag, but that may have been for the car behind me, I'm not sure, but I think by second or third lap we should start to see blue flag. But anyway, light notwithstanding, what are my impressions of the Simagic Alpha Evo? Absolutely phenomenal. absolutely phenomenal. It really does just find a new high for force feedback. It is really, really good. They've done an excellent job with this. There's a slight noise to it. That's one of my only complaints about this Evo, is that it's not quite as quiet as my Moza R16. It still sits, that noise I'm talking about sits well below the noise floor of the game I'm playing. You pretty much have to have sound off in order for me to hear it, but it is there just the same. There's the slightest little noise coming from that motor, which kind of surprises me because it's such a free-moving motor, such low inertia and low resistance. See you guys. But yeah, just absolutely beautiful force feedback detail. The way the car loads up in the corners, the way you can feel every last bump, like that curb detail. I've been very fortunate through my sim racing career and my time as a YouTuber to try a lot of different wheelbases. I have never felt force feedback that detailed going over these curbs here. It is incredible. Really, really fast and strong enough, even at 12 Newton meters. I'm sure the mic's not picking it up, but my whole rig is vibrating. And again, that's at 60% or whatever. I have that set to 7 point whatever Newton meters of torque. So impressively powerful for a rated 12 Newton meter motor. And yeah, just very, very impressive detail. And again, not something you want too much of, in my opinion, but the way you can feel that loading up through the corners, just very nice feeling. Simagic has absolutely nailed this, and yeah, just even that there, like the way the wheel snaps around when you're coming out of a corner, and you know, you kind of let the car settle itself, and the way the wheel is moving in your hands is really, really nice. Yeah, I'm so impressed with this wheelbase. And no temperature issues. You can tell it's on, but no indication that it's hot or anything like that. And I've done a couple of tuning sessions and run it fairly hard, and yeah, no concerns. And yeah, just that, in fact, I can't even hear it right now, but at some points, like I was running Sebring, I was testing at Sebring, and there was a little bit of motor noise, but I can't perceive it right now here at Interlagos, so maybe it was something to do with the wheel, I don't know, but yeah, just, whoa. Nope, not quite at the blue flag yet. I guess this is the outlap for that Ferrari, but we will let this hypercar go by. From here on out, I promise you we'll be getting blue flags. I know I've been a liar so far. And the other thing I noticed about this wheelbase right away is the size. It's tiny. I didn't realize how small. When I had it on the table, yeah, it looked small. It didn't look this small. It's really, really a small form factor. When I was taking my R16 off, I couldn't believe how small it is. I had to move my wheel plate up because I'm used to the space that the R16 occupied. This Alpha Evo occupies so much less space. It's just a tiny little thing. And again, incredible the amount of performance they're getting out of this tiny little thing. And at 12 Newton meters, no less. The 18 Newton meter version is larger, but the 9 and the 12, and apologies earlier in the video if I said 8, but the 9 and the 12, I believe, share the same case. And I just can't really say enough good things, so I think I'll pretty much wrap that up. I was hoping to show you, I've been talking so much about the blue flagging on the wheel. I was hoping to be able to show you that. Couple of hypercars coming up on my tail now. Maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe they will. Maybe I'll see a blue flag.
Nope, does not appear to be the case. But yeah, just incredibly impressive. And I find, and maybe it's just something I would get used to and not use after a while, but the light, the ring light as they call it, I have more use for it than I thought I would. I find myself checking it and, you know, kind of keeping track of where I'm losing grip in the corners, and am I like that, and am I going too hard in certain spots? So it's surprisingly useful, I would say. Not crucial to anyone's success or enjoyment in sim racing, no doubt, but a cool feature. Stoffel Van Dorn.
Lap 1:39.0.
Oh no, never mind. I thought Van Dorn was on me, but I think he was pitting. So yeah, again, the feeling through these curbs, or across these curbs rather, and loading up around this corner. Very nice, and impressive amounts of customization possible in the software, so spot on, Simagic. You really crushed this one. Battling with a higher class of car here. Whoops. Yeah. That was a lot of curb. Lap will not count. It's just very enjoyable. Nothing about this feels unnatural or... Yeah, this is really, really impressive. The force feedback kind of flavor, I would say, reminds me a little bit of Thrustmaster. That T818, I've been praising the T818 for a long time. I think it has really, really nice force feedback. Limited tuning options, unfortunately, but by default has very, very good force feedback. And this Simagic kind of takes that to another level. At least that's my perception of the force feedback here. This is extremely quick, extremely detailed, very strong even at 12 Newton meters. And easy recommendation for me. This is a phenomenal wheelbase. And I keep saying that I'm going to wrap it up and go back to the table, but I don't really want to stop driving. I'm loving the feeling of this wheelbase. So yeah, again, you can tell it's on. Like, it's not cold, it is above room temperature, but just barely. The sides feel room temperature-ish, but that top, it does have just the tiniest bit of heat, I would say. About to let a Peugeot go by me. I don't know, I promise you, I've had blue flags in the past. It's just not working now for whatever reason. I think it's something to do with either... I'm sure it would work in a race, but could be something to do with being in a practice session. Could be something I haven't set up right in the software, but I did have it working, so it's not an issue. Alright, promise. This is the last lap. Peugeot gonna pass me on the outside like a champion. And I am going to conclude this lap and get back to the table and talk about the good, neutral, and bad of the Simagic Alpha Evo. But yeah, brilliant. Love driving with this thing. Alright, let's get back to the table.
Alright, so time now for my final thoughts on the Simagic Alpha Evo wheelbase. Overall, as you heard when I was driving, it is fantastic. So let's talk about the good, neutral, and bad. Starting with the good, things I like about it. First and foremost, the force feedback detail. It is phenomenal. It is second to none, frankly. I don't think I own a wheelbase that gives this level of detail. And considering there's one step above this with the 18 Newton meter version, which should technically, if you talk about, you know, strength of the motor translating to faster response, should give a little bit more detail. So this at 12 Newton meters just gives the best force feedback detail I think I own in any wheelbase. And I don't say that lightly. I've been fortunate to own some very, very good wheelbases.
Things like the Logitech G Pro, things like the Thrustmaster T818 are just phenomenal wheelbases and give incredible levels of detail, but I think they come up short of this. And there's a lot of tuning options in the software, so I think I could get it dialed in more to my liking. But even on the baseline settings with minor tweaks here and there to my liking, it just delivered. It was phenomenal, excellent, incredible detail in the force feedback. And also we talk about the strength. Again, 12 Newton meters, so not the most powerful wheelbase I own by any means, but it punches well above its weight. It doesn't feel like 12 Newton meters to me. It feels a lot stronger. It can sustain that through the corners where you're kind of feeling the car compress down through aero. It just hits way harder than you would think. The response time when you go over a bump or go off track and the wheel snaps around, it's incredibly strong. So the strength definitely in the strong categories for this Simagic Alpha Evo. Also, we talked about the value. Coming in at $549, it's not the cheapest on the market, that's for sure. There's 12 Newton meter version. There's a $399 version, which is the 9 Newton meter. I have a feeling that wheelbase is excellent. I hope to get to try that at some point because given what I felt with the 12 Newton meter, I feel like the $400-ish 9 Newton meter version is probably an excellent wheelbase. But talking specifically about this 12 Newton meter version at $549, phenomenal. Really great value. Again, not the cheapest I own. I'm not saying this is something you go out and buy 3 of just because. Yes, it's a significant investment, but relative to the market, you definitely get your money's worth for $549. And also, of course, we talked about the software, the Simpro Manager software. Fairly simple. I didn't like that you couldn't maximize the window, but that's really neither here nor there. It doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme. But the bottom line is it's a very good software, allows good tuning options, and everything's laid out nicely. There's presets for all games. There's even presets for specific cars, which is great. Mouse over information for settings that you might not understand. So really nicely done on the software and helps you maximize and get the most out of this wheelbase. Also, the ring light. I didn't think I'd like it going into this review. I thought this would probably fall in the neutral category. Given that there was so much press, I guess, promotion surrounding this ring light, I was like, who cares? It's a light. But I found myself using it. I find it interesting. It's just right in your face. If you get a blue flag, and sorry again that I couldn't get the blue flag behavior working in Le Mans Ultimate, but I promise you it did work. But with the blue flag behavior and yellow flags and green flags, it's just one more thing in your face to let you know that something's happening on track. And I found it surprisingly useful. And you saw with the traction control, when traction control was engaged, there was a light that came on and started blinking. So good to know, obviously. And, you could use it for assistance in tuning. So I find the ring light actually in the good category. And then, of course, the connection hub, having all these ports at the back, lots of space to plug in, all kinds of peripherals. So that's really good. Not first to market with this by any means, but a good assortment of connection ports here for both legacy equipment and future equipment, which I believe will all use these RJ45 ports. So very cool. Nice touch there. Allows backward compatibility, but also growth for the future. And finally, we talk about the quick release system. I did see some notes online. There's some questions about the pinout of the wheels and is it compatible. I'll be honest, I don't have the full information on all Simagic equipment. I'm new to the Simagic ecosystem, so be sure to do your research if you have any concerns about compatibility between past equipment and this new generation of Alpha Evo wheelbases. But for me, coming into the ecosystem, trying it with the GT Neo and also one other wheel hub. It's been flawless, and I like the quick release style. It's the same theory, at least, that Moza uses. Super easy. Just reach on either side of your wheel, squeeze and pull, and your wheel is off. It's got wireless compatibility, so you're not having ugly wires run everywhere. And holds very strong, very simple.
and definitely in the good category. And moving now to the neutral category, things I'm just kind of okay with, and that is the noise. It's not quite as silent, interestingly, under load, I should say, as my R16. Importantly, it's not at all times. Like if I'm just cruising on a straightaway, there's nothing. But when it does load up, if you got force feedback turned quite high, there is a noise coming from this wheelbase. It's not a lot. I tried to record it and include it in this video, but it's barely above the noise floor of the room I'm recording in. So I had to turn the gain way up, and all it picked up was background noise. So that should give you an idea of how quiet it is. It's not a lot, but it is more than I was expecting from this wheelbase. But yeah, it's minor. You're not going to hear it over the sound of the car you're driving. So nothing to be concerned about, but just kind of surprised me. I thought it would be, perfectly silent in operation. And lastly, in the bad category, the styling. So, Simagic went to all the trouble to develop this incredible wheelbase, which is incredible, don't get me wrong, and then they made it look like every other wheelbase on the market. It's something I can't stand. Everyone does it. Simagic is no different. Moza at least tapers the back of their wheelbases, and I guess you could say the T818 looks different, the Logitech G Pro looks different, but fundamentally, there seems to be a sort of, not a regression, but the default form factor is this, and I don't love it. We're car people. We love smooth lines. We love colors, accents, and it would be nice if there was a little bit more to it than this. It just looks so boxy. It's the opposite of modern driving. It's a cube. Well, not a cube, but it's just so boxy, and I hate the fact that so much good lies within something that's not that great to look at. But overall, guys, incredible product. Really, really happy with my Simagic Alpha Evo. This is going to stay on the rig for the time being, at least. I'm super impressed with it. It does everything I wanted and more at 12 Newton meters. It's only the middle of the road. They've got a 9 Newton meter version and an 18 Newton meter version. I can't imagine what that 18 Newton meter version feels like, and I think the 9 Newton meter version is going to be a phenomenal product as well. But this one gets a strong endorsement from me. Really impressive piece of kit, and I look forward to many years of use with this. So thank you so much to Simagic for sending this through. Thank you to you for watching this video, and we will see you next time.